YouTube. So I just got back from Des Moines, and I wanted to take you on a bit of a haul. Unfortunately, it's cloudy outside, and there is absolutely nowhere in my room with enough lighting to really film in. So I am coming to you from my bedroom, which I'm actually surprised that I'm getting such a good angle as all this. Ever since my new bed came in, there is just a minimal amount of space now. So I'm having to make do with less, which I kind of like. But I digress. Today I went to Des Moines hoping to stagger upon some really good post-Halloween clearance sales. Uh, it was a big old bust. I first went to World Market, hoping they might have one cauldron left, because I had seen one there last week, and I really wanted a new cauldron for my collection. Nope, it was completely picked bare. They did have some really nice colored pillar candlesticks that I really liked. Those looked really sweet. Great for any autumnal altar. For Herfest, even Samhain, and even Lunasa. Although I did find that they had an amazing, they had authentic European gingerbread in stock. So next month or maybe the month after, I'm going to have to stop by and pick up some because it's not very expensive. It's real gingerbread with icing over the top, and the backside is coated with dark chocolate. Oh, they had some great Day of the Dead skull-shaped ornaments that would look great on a tree. I also went to Walmart hoping to find some really great deals, and their Halloween leftovers was really thoroughly. Really, the only reason I went there at all was to stock up on their orange and black candles, especially the taper and the votive candles, because I have no idea why. Maybe someone out there knows why, and if you do, let me know. But I have almost an impossible time finding orange candles here in Iowa. No stores carry them in Des Moines. Even during Halloween, this is actually the first year I have ever seen orange candles for sale. The At Home store, which has a huge selection of taper candles to choose from in almost every color you can imagine, doesn't have orange. And Hobby Lobby on Morro Hay, which has a huge assortment of candles to choose from as well. Taper candles, the closest they come to orange is burnt orange, which isn't really very useful for a witch, especially when they associate the color orange with the energy of Mercury. I picked up some Madeleines from Starbucks, so I can munch on Madeleines while I write, just like Marcel Proust, as he was traveling through the south of France. When I went to the Harper's bookstore, I found some uh, good items. I had intended to sell some items back to them, but I had forgotten to bring my ID along with me. So I picked up Voodoo in Haiti by Alfred Natrol. Another book about voodoo, which reads more like a memoir. It's Strange Altars by Marcus Bach. And honestly, I thought this was a novel by Marion Zimmer Bradley, but she only appears to be the editor of it. It's actually a compilation of short stories by female fantasy writers, and it is Sword and Sorceress, 14. It was on clearance, so only $1, so no biggie. Honestly, when I first went into the Harper's bookstore today, I had gotten there with a list of some fantasy authors that I wanted to look up. I also wanted to look up some old authors whose works I have read, hoping to buy some used but in good condition hardbacks. And I was surprised they had absolutely no hardbacks to speak of, which really, it really did surprise me that no one had managed to sell back their old vintage hardbacks of classic fantasy novels, such as by Terry Brooks. But yeah, I went into this list of authors, and the only one on there that they had any books by was Mercedes Lackey. Even then, they didn't have the books by her that I was looking for. I was looking for her hero. Let's see, I think it's called the Harold Mage trilogy. It starts with a book called Magic's Pawn, and I really wanted to read that series. I also looked up Alexander Lloyd, Jonathan Barry, who wrote Cat Magic, which is a book that really influenced contemporary paganism. Peter Beagle, who wrote The Last Unicorn. Terry Brooks, who has written the Shannara series, and I read every book that he wrote as a teenager. I looked for Jim Butcher, didn't find anything by him. He wrote the Dresden Chronicles. Um, Now, a Canadian author named Gemma Files, I really wanted to get her Hexslinger series, but I didn't see that there. Lynn Flueling, Laurie Force, who wrote The Black Witch, Lev Grossman, Robert A. Heinlein, Deborah Harkness, Charlene Harris, Tanya Huff, and Kay Jemison, who wrote the 5th season. I really want a hardback of that novel as well, because it has lots of gay witches in it. Arthur Machen, who wrote a book called The Great God Pan. I was really surprised that they didn't have anything by Tamora Pierce. Her book, In the Hand of the Goddess, was really one of the first books that I read in junior high school that really introduced me to the goddess and really brought paganism home to me. I actually emailed her once through her website, really thanking her for that series, and I was really surprised that she never bothered to write back. Let's see, some other authors I was looking for was V.E. Schwab, who wrote the Darker Shade of Magic series, Maggie Stiefvater, Amy Tan, who wrote the Drella Club, which is a really good book if you've never read it, and I'm going to butcher his name, he's Polish, but it's Andrzej Sapkowski, who wrote the Witcher series, which is a series of books that I really want to read. Although if anyone knows whether or not any English translated hardcovers of his Witcher series books were ever printed, let me know, because like most avid readers, I really like first edition hardbacks when I can find them. I used to have a huge collection of first edition hardbacks, and I slowly got rid of them over the years, when in fact I should have kept them. Oh, and while I was at Michael's hoping to find some serious leftover Halloween swag, I wanted the toad, the large toad they're selling this year. It was just so cool looking. What witch doesn't want to have a toad hanging around their house, But they were all gone. It was thoroughly picked through. This year it seemed as though a lot of the items were just boxed up and sort of sent back to where they. But I did buy this. It was surprisingly inexpensive. It was $5. It's a sketchbook. Really nice quality paper inside, and I plan on using it as my grimoire. I plan on covering it in fabric. I was hoping to stop by Joann's to see if they had any leftover Halloween fabric that might, spark my interest. I didn't get to go to Joann's today. But what I plan to do is, well, my knowledge of magic is extensive, especially the history of magic. So I'm really going to try and keep this very practical. I'm going to list not sort of the folklore of, for example, in my section of magical herbs, I'm not going to list just the folklore of the herb. That would take pages and pages. For each herb, I'm instead going to list the the magical uses of the herb that I have determined based upon many years of research. One technique, though, that I would like to use with this book, and I'm definitely going to have to buy some end papers as well to use on the inside after I cover it in fabric with Mod Podge. But when I was in high school, I believe I was a sophomore or maybe a freshman. It was the year before, well, at the time, our class was divided into four classes, or not four classes, but four segments. When you were a freshman, you took Art 1. When you were a sophomore, you took Art 2. When you were a junior, you took Art 3. And when you were a senior, you took Art 4. And when I was a sophomore taking Art 2, the following year, our art teacher change things up. So instead, you took a class on sculpture, or a class on crafts, or a class on jewelry making, or a class on pottery. Only she wouldn't let you use the potter's wheel unless you already knew how to use it, which is a shame because using the potter wheel was part of the instruction that she would have given in either her Art 3 or Art 4 class. But when I was a sophomore, I noticed that the upperclassmen were performing a paper photo transfer form of art. They would take blank paper and they would clip something out of a magazine and they would flip it over so that the part of the image they wanted to transfer was making contact with the paper they were using, and they would rub the back of it with some sort of a solution, and they would continue to rub the back of it until the image transferred itself onto the paper. And then afterwards, they would go over maybe with colored pencil or even watercolor or some other medium of paint and use it in our project. I have no idea how they went about doing that. So if anyone knows, please let me know. I would be really interested in learning that technique so that I can use it in this. In fact, I might end up buying another one of these and making two grimoires, one for myself and one to use in a giveaway at some future time with my extensive knowledge of magic within it. Now, I also got a couple new books this week that I will absolutely review later on. The first is The Complete Medicinal Herbal by Penelope Odie. David Hoffman's. This is the second edition, I believe, retitled. It's the Complete Herbs Source Book, an A to Z guide of herbs to cure your every ailment. And it's actually a really good book, set up really well. In fact, I love how they've used sort of this sage green color throughout, and they've repeated it in the illustrations. But the only problem with this book, you see these boxes. Yeah, the sage green boxes have white text in it, which, unless you're reading in a really good lit condition, in low lighting, it's almost impossible to read. So that's really my only immediate drawback right now. Oh, I also went to the at-home store hoping to find some really good post-Halloween swag, and I ended up making sort of a friend there. I was walking through the Halloween leftovers, and I sort of said out loud, God, I wish Halloween lasted all year long. And a woman said, me too. God, you're a man after my own heart. And I said, well, thank you. And I made the comment that Halloween is like my Christmas. And she said, me too. So that was great. But the item that I had hoped to buy there, because all the Halloween stuff was half off, was a set of wheat sheaf. Actually, they're taller than what I remember them being, but wheat sheaf shaped candle holders, and God, they're just amazing to look at. I would love to pull them out every Lunasa and for the autumn equinox on my altar, but unfortunately, even though they were mixed in with the Halloween remnants, they were not on sale. I actually had, I wanted to be sure, so I had to run up and down the aisles trying to hunt down and chase down one of the employees. I think he was maybe even the manager working there. And I asked him if he knew when the autumn stuff was going to go on sale, and he said he had absolutely no idea. In fact, they just sprang the Halloween sale on them this weekend, saying it's gotta go, put it all on sale. So yeah, that was pretty much my day. And if you've stayed with me this long, I am going to show you sort of a little video that I filmed at the at-home store dealing with the magic uses of bottles, because I was surprised by the really nice selection of bottles they had there. And one of these days I've got to go back and buy a bottle for a friend of mine who is a high priest in the Catholic tradition, because I think he would really like it. So until next time, my witches, keep calm and witch on. Take care. Hey YouTube, so I have just been browsing the at-home store, looking for ooh, discounted Halloween items. I haven't found any yet, but as I've been browsing the store, I realized that awful lot of there are an awful lot of bottles sold here that would be great to store potions in. I mean, check this out. This would be great for a bulk love potion. You just, buy a cork that fits the top and put some beaded stick pins in the top for decoration, and voila! I did that one all the way up there. I really like that one, actually. In fact, if I had a large enough recipe for a love potion, I would totally use it. I actually really want to buy this one for a friend who is a high priest in the Cabot tradition, because it's sort of a small version of the bottle that Lori Cabot used. Whoops. In the episode that I'm in search of to hold her own protection potion. In fact, I think she also uses just a simple cork in the top. Oh yeah, those are cute. This would be great for a money potion. Huh? Yeah. Oh, I love this. Yeah, that would be great for a sun potion. Yeah. Unfortunately, these shelves are way too tall. Yeah, some of these bottles would even be good for witch bottles or spell bottles. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing any really purple bottles, which is a travesty. Oh, here is a nice green one for money and healing. Oh, it's a nice chartreuse bottle for Imbolg. Sold a wonderful potion for that Sabbath. Let's see, we have some teal. I'm not really seeing many bottles, really large bottles. It would be too large for my purposes. It's going to get larger as you get closer to the floor. Oh, they have, and I totally cannot reach it. They have, oops, they have, not this, but, they have a teal version of this bottle way up there, behind some bases, and I totally cannot reach it. I would need help. It's just because, to prove my point, these shelves are way too tall.
For what?
Ooh, I love this for a bulk money potion. God, I wish they had a blue one or a Jupiter potion. That would be awesome. Let's see, maybe they do. Oh, I love these. These have just a vintage feel. This would be great for In Vogue. Yeah, these are just mostly bases, it seems. Yeah, some of the more interesting models are definitely way up top, and I just can't reach them. That sucks. Ooh, actually, this one would be pretty for Pisces potion. A nice large Pisces potion, or a potion for the planet Neptune. But you know, it's got to be inconvenient when I'm 6 feet plus inches tall and I have to stand on my tippy toes just to get a glimpse of what's in that shelf. And there's a shelf on top of that even. And I can't even see what's on top of that. So let's see. Maybe here. Yeah, there we go. Ooh. That's actually pretty. It's like a chartreuse mercury glass. That would be great for In Vogue as well. Anyway, I hope you saw some bottles up on that tippy top shelf that you like. Yeah, I would totally recommend looking at the at-home store website for more bottles. So, until next time, my witchlings, keep calm and witch on. Gorgeous, gorgeous deck, and I will absolutely be reviewing it at a later date. Those are the bags. It's just a gorgeous deck, but half price books originally wanted $50 more, but